of what is most important for business owners and what helps them to succeed.
Referrals and recommendations can be really important to you. You might be missing out on some amazing opportunity and tell you something which could change the path of your business.
Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining me for this session today, where we're going to take a look at business networking, which is an important part of setting up and running a small business in the UK. I'm Jennifer Thomas. I'm Development Manager at the Federation of Small Businesses, or FSB, which is the UK's largest membership organisation for small businesses and the self-employed. We've got 50 years of experience in business events and networking, as well as an understanding of what is most important for business owners and what helps them to succeed. So today I'm going to share a few top tips with you to get you out and networking in your local business community.
So here's a few examples that we're going to look at today. There are lots of different types of business networking, and we're going to touch on some of those today. Here's an example from some of our local events that we've just run in the last couple of months. Informal networking. Here's a picture of some people just chatting. They've got business cards in their hand, they've got their phones, they've got lanyards. We've got pop-up banners with all the branding on. These type of informal networking can be a really great way to start, especially when it's low investment, you're not joining a club, you're just going along, chatting with people and making connections. The next sort, here's a picture from a speed networking that we've also run. Speed networking and more formal networking can be a really helpful way of meeting lots of different people in one go. At this event, what we've got is a few tables. Everybody sits around a table each and everybody is numbered. You all have up to a minute perhaps to talk about yourself and your business. And here one of our networkers has brought along a couple of books he wants to talk about. And then a bell will ring or a noise will go off and we'll move on to the next person. Once everybody has spoken and the timer is up, people get up and move around to the next table and you meet lots of different people in one go, swap lots of business cards, and it can be a really good way to network if you're looking to meet lots of people. You've really got to hone your talk and what it is you're going to say about yourself and what it is you want to put forward, but look out for these in your local area. The next type I've shared here, here's a picture from a business expo that we've done recently. Business expos happen all over the UK. If you just Google Business Expo, look online, look on LinkedIn, you will find these exhibitions, they are, of lots of different types of businesses all coming together in one big space. Each business will have a stand, like you can see here, and some of the people from their team on it to meet you. They will all have things that they want to give out and share and talk about. They want to meet you, and your role is to attend there and meet as many of those businesses as you can. So that can be a really busy day, but also a really good one. As ever, take lots of business cards, be prepared to collect lots of things, meet new people, take videos and photos, and just look out for those. They should be free for you to attend. It costs money to exhibit, but if you've got that budget and you think this is a great way for you to get your brand out there, take a look at that. And finally, here is online networking. Online networking can be an excellent way to, again, meet lots of people in one go. It can be a bit more transactional. You don't get so much opportunity for in-depth conversations. When we run ours, we have breakout rooms and encourage everybody to talk amongst themselves on a certain question or a certain topic. And these are a great way, again, to break yourself into networking because they're very light, quite quick, much easier to get to. You can be at home at the time. We're going to talk about online networking a little bit later. So there's an example. Again, look at the different backdrops, look at the thumbs up, take a think about what you would like to put forward when you go virtual networking. And this is what we call virtual networking or online networking. The others we would call face-to-face networking or in-person networking. So firstly, a bit about us and how you can benefit from our events. The Federation of Small Businesses is the largest small business group in the UK. We have 150,000 members and they are all business owners or self-employed. We lobby government, but we are a non-party political organisation. We've got lots and lots of benefits for all of our 150,000 members, which includes legal helplines, employment support, tax support, health and safety, banking, finance, all sorts of things to help small businesses grow and get on in their business, because not all businesses actually use networking, and not all businesses consider that a good use of their time. Networking can be incredibly valuable for some, so that's also something else which we offer. So the next thing is for you to do is to look on FSB's website and all over online and find different networking events that are available to you. So we run hundreds every year, many every month across the UK and online. So you can take a look at those, and most of them are free to attend, and most of them are totally open to everybody. You don't need to be an FSB member to come to our events. Now, the benefits of networking. We've already talked about some of the fun ways that it can be good from those different types I showed you at the beginning. Let's go through some of the particular benefits of networking. The first one, of course, is to raise your profile. If you're new to the country, if you're new to the area, if you don't know very many other business people, just be reassured that there are lots and lots of businesses out there. Even if your business doesn't require you to meet other local business owners, it always helps to be known within the local area and within your industry. So getting out and meeting people, talking to them, talking about your business will raise your own personal profile and that of your business, and get people to think about you when they're thinking of which businesses they want to work with. This will give you new contacts, and also don't forget, you'll learn some new skills. Quite often at networking there will be a speaker. There could be an interesting training talk, or there could just be something about an area of business which you're not an expert in. And also you might meet some people who are experts who tell you something you didn't know before, or there could be a pathway to some more formal training. Referrals and recommendations can be really important to you as a small business owner. So some groups specifically require referrals and recommendations for you to be a part of them. And again, some people love that, some are not so keen. But if it helps you to constantly have a stream of referrals, and if you're out and about and can recommend these people in your networking group to others, you can create some really good business through membership of those groups. And again, everybody likes a recommendation. People buy from people. So if you're out and about, if people have been meeting you, they might recommend you to others. You might never know that it's come from that networking group or from that individual, but that's where the benefit sometimes can lie. Mutual support can be really important as a small business owner. You, as I said earlier, don't know what you don't know. You might be missing out on some amazing opportunity. You might have some problems which are holding you back, or some small things that you think aren't that important, but actually other people say this is a real opportunity for you, you should do it. You might also just have some tech issues, or be wanting to take on a new staff member, anything like that, where you never know who you're going to meet, and they might be able to advise you on how to get over that problem and tell you something which could change the path of your business. Collaboration is part of that. So the opportunity to work together with other business owners, whether that's through referring to one another, or whether it's creating a business which is greater than the sum of your parts. So for example, if you are a person in a massage or a medical field, and you meet somebody else who perhaps does acupuncture, then you could work together and create a health and well-being business offer, and you can both use each other's networks and resources to go out and get lots of new customers and bring them in to work with both of you. That's just a small example, but I'm sure you've all got opportunities and thoughts about types of businesses you could collaborate with. You might not meet them at the networking, but you might meet other people who know them. So always talk about what you're looking for and the type of collaboration you'd like to do. So there are two different types in particular. I have mentioned all the varying types like expos and speed networking, but in general, people talk about in-person, face-to-face networking and online or virtual networking. It's up to you which one you prefer, but I would really recommend you try them all, try both types of in-person and online, and just keep in with both of them. Do a little bit now and again, drop in now and again. If you've got a morning free, think, well, maybe there's some virtual networking that I can join, and just keep doing them. However, over the next few slides, we're going to give you some tips, because actually, if you just keep attending, but you're not really planning strategically as to why, in a way, it's not the greatest use of your time. So here's some tips about how to get prepared. So when you're there at your in-person networking event, let's use this as the first example. You've made the effort to go, you've made the effort to book your ticket to travel there, you want to meet people face to face. The first thing to think about is, what location is this? How am I going to get there? Where am I going to park? If you've got a disability, it should be accessible, but all of these things you really do need to think about in advance. You don't want to turn up tired, sweating, wet because it was raining and you didn't take an umbrella. If it's in a city centre, what time of day you're going to have to set off? Is it going to be awful trying to get into the city centre in the morning? Is it going to be somewhere that you can get to easily? So really look at that location and the format as well. Try and find out or think about, is this going to be a formal seated event? Is it going to be, is there going to be speeches? Am I going to be on my feet for a long time? What do I need to be wearing in terms of being comfortable while I'm there? Do I need to prepare a 30-second pitch, a 1-minute pitch? Do I need to take business cards? All of that will be built into that format. If something is a very formal networking where you need to prepare a bit in advance, then make sure you do that, because otherwise you're missing the opportunity really, and other people who are there will have done all of that homework. So part of that homework, especially on a face-to-face or an in-person event, is bringing business cards. So if you have business cards, bring them along and make sure you're giving them out to as many people as you'd like and collecting theirs as well. Quite often organisations don't share contact details anymore. This isn't something which is the best way to network really when you're just going around downloading everybody's lists. You really need to be meeting people and try and meet as many people as possible. So a business card is a good way of getting everybody's details. Maybe write on that business card a couple of words, just what they were interested in or how you met, something so that later on you'll remember them. A name badge can be very helpful as well. You can have your branding on there, your name, your title. Not only does it help people to engage with you when they're talking and they can clearly see what your name is, they don't have to feel awkward about maybe forgetting your name or introducing you to the next person. And also it's a way of showing your logo and showing what you do. So if you've got your logo and your colours, your name, and underneath it says marketing advice, people will visually remember that a lot easier. Prepare some conversation starters. Now, don't think you're the only person who feels awkward about going into a room of strangers potentially, but don't make that your excuse, I suppose, to go over to the people you know and spend the networking event talking to people you know. You need to get out of your comfort zone, and the point of you going there again, it's not just for a catch-up with the people you know, it's an opportunity to meet lots of people. So prepare some conversation starters which are friendly and will get you some interesting information back. So maybe something like, have you heard this speaker before? Or this is a lovely venue, have you been here before? Just something really simple. Or something more specific like, have you got anything you're working on at the moment? Which people enjoy talking about, but as I say, gets some interesting conversation going and helps you to learn a bit about each person. First impressions really do count in an in-person networking. They count always, but particularly at an in-person event, a few people might be feeling a little bit uncomfortable. They want to feel welcome. So show a smile. Do as much bright smiling as you possibly can. I'm a very poor example today, but normally I wear a bright colour. So a bright colour, like this lovely lady in the picture, will make you stand out from the crowd. It makes you look vibrant and lively. And from a distance, if somebody's saying, oh, I just spoke to that person over there, it's much easier to say, the gentleman in the red top or the lady in the purple dress. You will also look really good in all the pictures afterwards. So if there are photos that are taken at the event, you're more likely to get into them on social media if you look bright and jazzy at their events. A key thing at these events, I have already said, don't just gravitate to the people you know, move around the room, circulate. Meet as many people as you possibly can. You only have a limited amount of time. So move around, very politely move away from people, arrive at other people's conversations. If this is a networking event, don't feel bad and think, oh, they're deep in conversation. You have every right to go over and join in the conversation. A networking event, it is a given that everybody there wants to network and wants to meet other people. Otherwise, they just would have arranged to have had a coffee with that one person. So try to meet as many people as you can. Don't get too bogged down in deep conversations because you can always do those afterwards. Props are a really good way to be memorable and to get across what your business does and to get in all those photos. So if you could bring anything. If you make clothes, bring some of your items along. If you are a plumber, bring a plunger. It sounds crazy sometimes, but it really doesn't matter what you bring. Nothing is, well, maybe, but nothing, almost nothing is unreasonable. Bring something which makes people remember you. Quite honestly, the organisers will be delighted if you've brought something with you because they want good photos and they want it to be really clear at their event that these are real business owners with businesses and things going on. So the more interesting and jazzy their pictures, the better. And if you've actually got something to show, people really like seeing it. So you could just bring a leaflet. You could just pass around your business card, but think about what is it that I could bring to show people what I'm all about. I have mentioned it already, but exit a conversation gracefully. If you can get good at leaving a conversation with somebody, not only do you leave them with a really good impression of yourself, but also you have the opportunity then to get around as many people as possible. So nobody will be offended if you step away from them mid-conversation because you've seen somebody you want to talk to, if you do it in the right way. So have a little practice at that. As long as you apologise and are kind and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I need to go and speak to somebody over there, or it's been lovely speaking to you, please let me know how that goes. These are perfectly nice ways to exit that conversation. So next we're going to talk about those online networking events. Don't forget, these take place at your workstation. If necessary, you can call in from the car or from a coffee shop or from out and about, but really think about the effect that that will have on the impression that you give, any background noise, and how professional it looks. And in some cases, if it really is off-putting for the rest of the group, you might get asked to either turn off your video or come back when you're somewhere a little more appropriate. So in general, these will be at your workstation. So have a think about, are you comfortable? Have you got everything you need? Do you have a drink? Are you freezing cold or boiling hot? Is your cat going to walk across? And what's in the background? Check your sound and your audio ideally before you come onto the call. Obviously, sometimes it can't be helped if you suddenly realise no one can hear you. But just make sure that everything's working as it should. There will always be technical problems, but if you can avoid them, that's always for the best. Think about your virtual backdrop. So I did show earlier some of the people on that call who have a virtual background. Now, when we go on to these, you're already no doubt able to use your laptop, but don't forget there are stock backgrounds which look perfectly professional. You can have one made or make one up yourself. And you could use all sorts of interesting things on there to get your brand and some key information across. And again, that's your first impression. So in a face-to-face event, the first impression is how you look, how you're holding yourself, what you say. In a virtual scenario, you might not speak for the first few minutes, but people can see how you look, your background, what you're doing. Don't be fiddling around too much. Don't be looking at a second screen like this. Make sure you're looking at that camera and you're giving the impression that you're interested, you want to be there, and you're professional. So I've mentioned the virtual background. Have a think about how you can make this interesting. Some people have one that's moving, one with a picture of them doing something else, one in their kind of background. So if you're a farmer, have your farm with you in it. If you have a marketing background, what could you make that really shows some of your skills? And a QR code can be a helpful way of everybody being directed straight to your website by just having that QR code in your top corner. Eye contact I've mentioned, this is your opportunity to connect even through a computer. So try not to be looking away or looking down. Nobody wants to see somebody's parting. There is still the opportunity to make a personal one-to-one connection through a laptop. That's no problem. Props are, again, just as useful on a virtual thing, whether that's just holding them up to the screen, you could share an image, or you could have them in your virtual background. Think about, how can I use props and how can I get people interested in me and what I do through bringing things with me to that virtual event. Now, at a virtual event, it can be a little bit tricky, I suppose, in a real event, face-to-face, to make sure that everybody has their chance to speak. But just remember, it's key to be on mute when you should be on mute. So if there is a speaker, make sure you're on mute. And if this is the chance, maybe in a breakout room or a discussion, if there's the chance for people to speak, just remember, some people will always jump straight in and other people might be a little bit more nervous. But make sure that if there's anybody who looks like they haven't really had a chance to speak, maybe they've come off mute for a while and then they've gone back on mute. If you say, oh, I think so-and-so had something to say, they will be extremely grateful to you. And that is a way of making sure that a virtual event is still really welcoming and really successful for everybody there. So generally, that's a good rule of thumb to have, is if you get put into a group and asked to take part in a discussion and you've got lots to say, don't think this is my opportunity to tell everybody what I've got to say. Even if you have the answer to what somebody's talking about, it's still really a good idea to save some of what you've got to say, either in a one-to-one message through the chat or perhaps organise a one-to-one afterwards. But it's still really important to have manners, and that some other people don't go away feeling a bit sad and despondent that they didn't get to speak. So I've mentioned the chat box. This is an opportunity for you to share those links, share special offers, connect on LinkedIn or wherever you want people to connect with you. So have a paragraph ready, which you can just paste in with all of your links. You can update this regularly, but it's just a much easier way than to try and type something on the morning. Usually it's the case that you can copy and paste or save the chat box. And usually it's the case that you cannot then get that afterwards. So just remember to put into that chat box only what you would be happy to be shared and taken away by other people, and don't expect that you will be able to get it later. Next, we're going to cover your pitch. So when we talk about an elevator pitch, it's exactly as it describes, and this is why it's called an elevator pitch. Imagine you get into an elevator or a lift, as we like to call it in the UK, and somebody next to you turns to you, and you've got a few seconds as the lift starts to take off, and they say, oh, hey, tell me about yourself, or what's your business? You've got a few seconds window to communicate as much as you can. As soon as those doors open, they are gone. So you need a nice, concise elevator pitch which covers the key things. That's what it's called. It's often called that out and about at networking. And when we introduce ourselves with an elevator pitch, we tend to cover our names and a little bit about our business in a very short amount of time. It does happen at virtual and in-person networking, and it gets called the elevator pitch, but also we might call it round the room introductions, or some people, I go to an event where there's your 7-second pitch. So that's keeping it very concise. The organiser will usually be very clear about how much time you've got. They might even use a simple timer, which is a good thing. Don't feel put off by it. This is helpful because it keeps the event going, stops people going over, and just keep an eye on that timer. It might be a squeezy noise if you're out at an event, or a bell, or if it's a virtual event, there might be a timer in the actual corner of the screen. Don't go over that time, because it starts getting awkward if you're speaking into somebody else's time, and the organizer starts feeling awkward, like should they interrupt you or not. So make sure you don't go over that time, but don't feel pressured to fill that time. So if you're given 60 seconds, there is no need to fill 60 seconds. Just try and get forward what it is you want to tell people, what you'd like them to go away. Have a think about what information you want to put forward. The organizer might as well encourage you. They might ask you just an icebreaker like, what's your favorite food? But they usually leave you alone to say whatever you want. So often it's tell everybody who you are, what your business is, and what you're looking for today, or what you can offer everybody else. So don't feel pressured to fill that time, and you will be congratulated usually if you're either under time or exactly on time. But prepare an elevator pitch which describes your business and your objectives clearly and concisely. Have a few versions ready, so maybe make a 10-second elevator pitch, a 30-second and a 60-second version. You want to include your professional expertise and unique selling point, or even a prop. You should also create this pitch in writing. I always find that that's probably one of the most useful things to do when you're on a virtual event. So you can put all your different links and your offers into that, and every time you do virtual networking, you've got it there ready and you can paste it into the chat box, and then you know that that's done. You're not typing during the networking, you're fully listening to everybody else who's introducing themselves. Another really important thing for getting that pitch right is to be memorable with it. So a room full of other people, and there might be 30 people all giving a 30-second pitch. So it might take 15 minutes and everybody's doing their bit. Especially on a virtual networking and even at a face-to-face event, people can start to glaze over. So in a room full of lots of people, what will make you and your pitch and your business stand out from the crowd? So think about bringing some props, photos, pictures, marketing materials. Wear bright clothing and interesting clothing. You can wear branded clothing for your own business if you like. That could be a hoodie, or that could be an incredibly smart glittery suit. Whatever works for you and whatever you want to get across to people. And if you're on a virtual event, get those interesting backgrounds in that are memorable, and maybe get plenty of information across about you. And finally, everyone loves a real life review or recommendation. So don't be afraid to ask for these from your clients and then share them on. Share them on social media, you can share them all over the place. Ideally, if your clients are happy to leave you a review or a recommendation, you would like them to be on Trustpilot or on Google. But either way, so long as you can get something like that, that can be a really memorable and useful thing to share when you're pitching and when you're talking to people about your business. Just please make sure that those reviews are true, because it can get back to the original reviewer. And if somebody finds out it's a fake review, that will do more damage to your reputation. So get some really good reviews and responses from the businesses you've already worked with. So next, let's talk about active listening. I think a lot of people go networking and they either are really nervous about that they need to say something, or also are just so delighted to be able to talk that they don't listen. And actually, if you go away and you say, I spoke to loads of people, that is not a good enough outcome for a lot of people. So let's look at active listening. Firstly, it's all about taking an interest in others. Find out what they want to achieve from that meeting. What is it that they're looking for? Perhaps there's something that you can help them with, and what they're interested in that meeting might be something you've not even considered, you've not even paying attention to, and suddenly you will say, oh yes, this is an opportunity for me. So we've talked earlier about opportunities you didn't realize even existed. The second thing is see if their objectives or values match yours and try and find some common ground. So a lot of small business owners and self-employed people are in it because they have values which they want to put forward in their business, or they're very passionate about something. So if your values and what you're trying to achieve match with somebody you've met, you will feel an instant connection and that person will want to talk to you more. So don't be afraid to talk about exactly what your objectives are, what you're trying to get out of the event, and more widely, just in general, what you're trying to achieve. And talk very much about your values, because you'll be surprised, no matter where you're from, no matter what type of business you're in, when people's values match, they suddenly find they can work together a lot more easily. And the last thing in particular is, can you help them? How can you help that person? Because not only will you'll have a really great conversation if you're trying to find out from them what help they're looking for, but also if you can actually follow through and help them, that is going to be remembered by them for a very long time. They're going to be a lot more open to helping you in future. And that's what networking is all about, really. So ask those open-ended questions, who, how, and why, and find out from them about their values, about what it is they're looking for, what they're trying to achieve, and then really understanding where you can make a difference to that person. No matter what type of networking you choose to do, and whether you make this a long-term plan or whether it's just once or twice you give it a go, a key thing is that you will get more out of it if you come prepared. Networking can be a slow burn, but there can be immediate good outcomes too if you're prepared to put the work in beforehand, at the event, and in your follow-up afterwards. So be specific about what you want to get out of the event. Whether this is more people signed up to your newsletter, could be people to trial your new product. Maybe you want to meet people in a certain industry or get help and ideas to get your business off the ground. Whatever it is, keep this in mind and focus on it as you move around the room. Tell people that this is your aim so that they can actually help you, and build this into your social media and follow up afterwards. Networking events are all about developing professional relationships to assist you and your business and make valuable contacts. So remember, this is not an opportunity to do a full sales pitch or close a deal. This is what the follow-up and the relationship building is for. Nobody's going to get their checkbook out or start calling their solicitor and setting up a contract at a networking event. So use this as an opportunity to have lots of touch points and to create lots of opportunities to follow up in future and make more in-depth relationships and get those outcomes that you're looking for from it. It's really important that you attend regularly if this is going to be a long-term thing for you, of course. Help others with that mindset that you're there to help as well as give as well as take, I guess, and have an effective follow-up. So the follow-up will be individual to you in terms of what you want to achieve and what you can offer and what sort of relationships you want to build. But remember not to overstep the line. Don't be using people's data in a pushy way. Don't put them onto a newsletter or start sending them emails when they haven't agreed to it. You might want to use a good CRM system, or maybe contact people you've met one-to-one and say, hi, it was great to meet you. Perhaps arrange a separate meeting to discuss some of the things you talked about in more depth, or to start building those relationships or coming up with ideas. You can also connect and share pictures and tag other networkers and the event organisers on social media afterwards. People love to see pictures of their event and pictures of themselves. Maybe check with people on the day if they're happy for you to share those pictures of them on social media, but in most cases they are. And also follow up on anything you said you would do or anything other people promised to do for you, like passing on details of an upcoming event. Because don't forget, no one's perfect. And as soon as people leave that room, sometimes they're straight on to the next thing. They might have a number of other meetings that day. They might have a long journey back. And by that evening or even that afternoon, they've forgotten what they said they would do. But if you're waiting, it's absolutely fine to go to them in a polite way and say, it was great to meet you. You said you would pass on that event link, or you were going to tell me more about that. I'd love to hear more. That's absolutely fine, and people will be grateful for it. Now, I've given you a lot of advice there, some very detailed advice, but don't forget everybody's an individual and it will depend on you and your preference, what's on in your local area and the type of business you've got and the type of clients that you're looking for. But I would really recommend you get out there and get networking, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So why not try some local networking and have a browse in your local area as a start, and also have a little dip into between online and face-to-face, see who you meet and start to have conversations with them about the types of networking they enjoy and find useful, and you'll get lots of advice from people at those events. The best thing to do is look online, whether that's for online events or in person, because on somewhere like Eventbrite, you've got lots of different networking events are listed. Organisations like FSB will list their events on their own website, and that's the same for chambers of commerce, business improvement districts, anything like that. Look on different websites and on Eventbrite, and look on LinkedIn. So if you just use the hashtag networking, you will find all sorts of people talking about networking that they've gone to. So just look around and see what your contacts are going to, what people in your industry are going to, and what people in your local area are going to. And hopefully that will get you a perfect start. That social media is also really useful for networking itself. So don't forget, networking and events are not the same thing. You can do networking at an event, you can go to specific networking events, or you can just go online and network, and you never actually have to go to an event or book a ticket. If you use social media for networking, you might use different hashtags, you might join different types of groups, or just take part in online conversations. Networking is about making connections with people and getting yourself out there, so you can easily do that just on X or on LinkedIn or TikTok, Instagram. There's loads of different platforms where you can meet business owners and you can talk to them, you can connect and find people who are on the same wavelength as you, in the same industry, having the same challenges as you, without ever actually going to a networking event. You're still meeting people. The main thing is still keep connected with those people and keep a record of when you've spoken to them, so you can leave a bit of a footprint and go back and start to build up your network and your contacts that way. Try a few things out is always the number one thing I say to people. Just start going out there. Obviously, do that preparation so that you're going out and having positive experiences and people are having positive experiences of you. But the best way to learn about what works for you and what you enjoy is to go out and try it. Just be wary about how much time and money you're investing in doing that. Set yourself maybe a budget or a certain amount of time every week or every month that you're prepared to put into networking. And I've already mentioned it, but not all networking opportunities are actually called networking. So I've talked a bit already about online networking. There's also opportunities at other types of business events. There will always be a networking reception at the beginning or at the end, in the middle, or even throughout the day, where there is a chance to network with other businesses. But it could be that you go to an event about helping with local schools, or an event that's something more like a training which is helpful to you. It could be a council meeting, it could be a cheese festival. However, there will always be a chance to meet other people. So just remember and to take along those props or those business cards, or remember to practice that listening or to have your pitch ready. So it's not just about looking for networking events. Look for networking opportunities, and you might really enjoy some of those other types of events as well. If you go to events which are more about the local economy or local investment, then you'll meet a totally different type of business and maybe some people that are really interested at that higher level, and they could be interesting people to you too. Just don't go there with the wrong frame of mind. Don't go to an MP round table when you're not actually interested in local issues, because it will quickly become apparent. But just remember that there are all sorts of business events out there. The people who organise them are always very grateful to have more people there. So go with an open mind, see what you can learn and see who you can meet. And finally, if you are going to be looking for events, just remember that these can be based on topic, industry or local area. So in my area, there might be Leicester City networking, or there might be networking for creative businesses or businesses in manufacturing, or there might be a specific networking event about using a certain IT product. There might be networking around mental health. And FSB runs all sorts of these. Mostly the topic and industry ones are online, so people from all over the UK can join. And one which I've put here, which you might be interested in, is the ethnic minority-led business networking. So this is extremely welcoming, and it's all about people who are experiencing their first time in the UK running a business, or people who just really want to give back to the ethnic minority community, or who have years and years of experience being an ethnic minority-led business and want to talk about some of the issues and opportunities, meet one another and support one another. You would be very welcome to come to that. That runs every other month, and you can find it on the FSB's website. That's free, and you don't need to be an FSB member. You'll find groups like that all over the UK, and I hope that you will always find a very welcome place, no matter what it is you're looking for. So don't forget, you can go to the FSB website where you will find top tips for networking. You'll find networking events, and hopefully you will find all sorts of other information there which can help you, whether that's to do with running a business or taking on staff or accessing some of the government support and grants that are out there for small businesses. If you go online, FSB is all over social media, and again, you can use hashtags, join groups and talk to other small business owners, because that's what it's all about, and hopefully you'll find some really good support out there. If there's anything you ever want to ask about, I've put my email address here, and I would be really happy to help anybody who needs it. And I hope that your networking journey brings you a lot of enjoyment and business profit along the way. Thanks.